If you're needing some really simple last-minute Christmas cards, I have the perfect beginner project for you. I'm starting with some watercolor paper that I pre-wet with clean water, and I'm randomly dropping some yellow ochre and some very light black dark gray on my background. Once that's dry, I took just a simple cookie cutter and lightly traced 3 times to create Christmas tree ornaments. I overlap them just a little bit because I'm going to go with almost a transparent clear glass type of ornament. And I just filled in the top and rounded it off a bit. You could just use a glass if you don't have a cookie cutter. And then I came back and I just started filling in my circles with some black paint that was really diluted with some water. And I'm just kind of doing the edges first, and then I'm going to come in and just add some darker gray and let it just fade out and bleed into the center. I'm also using my yellow ochre, and I dropped a little bit of that in also. And now I'm working on the other outside Christmas ball. Same way, I'm starting with my darker gray, light black around the outside, and because my paper stays a little bit wet, I'm dropping the color more towards the center. I'm leaving it lighter in the center, and I'm even picking up some of that center color with a paper towel to make it even lighter. Now I'm doing my last Christmas ball, and because my Christmas balls on each side are mostly dry, you can see that the color is staying where it is, so it's giving a very layered, transparent type of effect. Once I have my Christmas balls done, I'm going to start my tree branch by just drawing a wavy line with my paintbrush, and I picked up a little bit of that color because it was a little dark with the paper towel. And I'm just going to start adding some of my pine needle. I'm going to start lighter because I want to layer and gradually add darker color. With watercolor, it's best if you start light and get darker as you work, because if you start too dark to begin with, it's very difficult to layer over top. And my paper is still a little bit damp underneath, so some of my color might look like it's sort of fading out and bleeding a bit, and that's okay. I like that effect. I picked up some darker color, and I don't have a lot of paint on my brush, so this is giving me a little bit more of a textured dry brush effect, and you can really see here how that color is bleeding out because the paint underneath is still a little bit wet. So now I'm taking some black paint and I'm tapping over my Christmas balls and just creating a fun little spatter technique. I want to add the top of my Christmas ornament, so I'm just really drawing a square or a rectangle with my paintbrush and just filling it in very lightly. And I'm going to show you now, if you've ever been worried about trying to use ink, I have a fun little hack for you. There's a certain kind of pen that you can use. It's called a friction pen, and you can get them on Amazon. I think you can get them at Walmart also. They are erasable pens. The nice thing about them is they're also heat activated. So if you put the ink down and you don't like it, you can come back with a hair dryer or a heat gun and you can make it disappear. So I just think that's a really fun technique to play with. Sometimes I'm not sure if I want to add ink or not, so I'll do that and see how I like it. And then if I like it, I'll get rid of it and come back and add some permanent ink. If you don't want to use ink, you can do the same effect with a very thin paintbrush, like a sketchy type of effect, and that way you don't have to worry about whether your Christmas ornaments are a perfect circle. It's hard to paint a perfect circle, and so by deliberately being messy or sketchy, it gives it a fun look to it. It's a fun technique to play with, and it also makes it look intentional. I'm just adding some bows to the top of my Christmas ornaments, again with my small paintbrush. And I'm working very quickly, and I'm coming back in and adding even more pine needles and more definition to my branches, because as you can tell, now that my paint has dried, that pine branch has faded a little bit. I'm picking up some gold paint I love to use gold paint, especially for the holidays, and I'm just adding some very light accent marks around the edges of my Christmas ornaments and to the top part of my ornament, and also to my pine needles. I love this painting because it's really quick and simple, but because it's really only a couple of colors, you could do this in a red theme or a blue theme. It's very versatile. I decided I did want to go back over with some permanent ink, so I have a very fine tip felt tip marker, and I'm filling in my tree branches first, and very randomly. I'm not filling them too heavy. And I decided to do the outside edges of my Christmas ornaments as a continuous line. And you can see in one area here, I went a little bit wonky and came outside a little bit too much. So I'm just filling in it more just to make it look like it was deliberate. So I'm finished with my really easy painting. Here's two different versions that I did. I hope that you enjoyed this tutorial and you'll try it for yourself.